Welcome. It's our tradition this time of year to pause and reflect on the loved ones that we've lost. On behalf of Hospice Health, our grief counselors, our board, our care providers, and our volunteers, I want to say thank you for allowing us to serve you and your loved one. It's no accident that at this time of year we stop and reflect on those that we've lost. This Thanksgiving season is something we want to carry forward in our hearts and minds, the thankfulness for the time that we've had with these individuals. Thank you for joining us today.
On behalf of the Hospice Health Group Counseling Center, welcome to our Service of Remembrance. It is well and good that we gather in this season of Thanksgiving to pause, to acknowledge, to reflect, to remember, and to celebrate all those who have died, and to do so with gratitude. Grateful for the lives we've shared with them, the many ways they have shaped our lives, creating the persons that we were. Grateful for our current lives and the opportunity to reflect upon deeper things that matter, those things that continue to give deep value, purpose, and meaning in our lives. And grateful for who we will become, in part because they were a part of our lives, that through the living and dying, we too are changed. We are transformed into someone new. The word holidays comes from the root words holy and days. Today, and in the coming season, we invite you to consider what makes things sacred and holy in your family, gathering with those who belong to us and to whom we belong, celebrating traditions that root us in our history, that reaffirm our identity and sense of belonging. These same traditions, giving continuity to our lives and ensuring the identity and connection continue well into the future. Pausing to acknowledge, to reflect, to remember, and to celebrate those who have died is one way we create sacred and holy moments in our family. This is the invitation of grief, and to do so with grateful hearts. In the words of Dag Hammarskjöld, for all that has been, thank you. For all that is to come, yes.
'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools, this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched.
Ye fleeting charms of earth, farewell, your springs of joy are dry. My soul now seeks another home, a brighter world on high. I'm a long time traveling here below. I'm a long time traveling away from home. I'm a long time traveling here below to lay this body down. Farewell, kind friends whose tender care has long engaged my love. Your fond embrace I now exchange for better friends above. I'm a long time traveling here below. I'm a long time traveling away from home. I'm a long time traveling here below to lay this body down. I'm a long time traveling here below. I'm a long time traveling away from home. I'm a long time traveling here below to lay this body
If someone that matters to you has recently died, you are or have experienced many emotions and states of mind. The fog of not being able to concentrate, sadness, anger, confusion, loneliness, fatigue, weariness, many emotions. And maybe gratitude ain't one of them. And so I'd like to start our time together with a blessing written by author Jan Richardson. Let us agree for now that we will not say the breaking makes us stronger, or that it is better to have this pain than to have done without this love. Let us promise we will not tell ourselves time will heal the wound, when every day our waking opens it anew. Perhaps for now it can be enough to simply marvel at the mystery of how a heart so broken can go on beating, as if it were made for precisely this, as if it knows the only cure for love is more of it, as if it sees the heart's sole remedy for breaking is to love still, as if it trusts that its own persistent pulse is the rhythm of a blessing we cannot begin to fathom, that will save us nonetheless. Acknowledging first that we may not feel gratitude today, or even want to be in that place, let us affirm that grief is a peculiar phenomenon that impacts each of us so differently, yet in some similar ways. We never go out looking for grief. Inevitably, it finds us. It bursts into our lives suddenly or chips away slowly at the people and things that matter to us. The first and most important part of healing is to not fight these painful feelings, but instead to surrender to them. Too often we worry that if we allow ourselves to fully feel these emotions, we'll be swept away by them. And in being swept away, that we'll be unable to function. But the truth is that thoughts and feelings are just thoughts and feelings. They don't hold any special power over our behavior unless we allow them to. There is a real paradox to grief. Grief hollows us out. And being hollowed out by loss heightens our state of awareness, not only of sorrow, but of all emotions, of life itself. As psychotherapist and author Frances Weller says, there is some strange intimacy between grief and aliveness, some sacred exchange between what seems unbearable and what is most exquisitely alive. And it is in this place of sacred exchange that I want us to focus today. You are walking your season of grief during our traditional season of expressing our gratitude. This pull, this invitation to express thanksgiving may seem maddening to you now. Yet, as Weller goes on to tell us, in life we face two sisters, grief and gratitude. These help us touch into the mystery of life. The work of the mature person, he says, is to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, and to be stretched large by them. How much sorrow can I hold? That's how much gratitude I can give. As you can, my hope is that even as you tend to the very real loss you have encountered, as you focus on your circle of pain, that you can also hold the hand of grief's sister and be aware of how you can expand by also noticing the very gift of life. And in that noticing, to offer your gratitude. The irony of being awake to deep pain is that it provides us an opportunity to pay attention to our lives. Gratitude is eventually the usual consequence of paying attention. It's not so much that anyone is saying to us that we should focus on gratitude in the midst of our grieving. Rather, it's an acknowledgement that in paying attention to our lives, in whatever state it is in, inevitably brings about an awareness of gratitude. When we are awake to the pain, we are also awake to notice the beauty, the gifts that living has to offer, the gifts that our person brought to us, even if they also brought pain. Our deepening awareness, therefore our sense of gratitude, is a byproduct of the sorrow our loss has carved out. It's not a place you should be necessarily as much as it is a place you just are. And with a slight shift of intention, it's a place you could remain. Henry Nouwen, a priest and author, once wrote that gratitude claims the truth that all of life is a gift. Popular self-help author Melanie Beattie, whose 12-year-old son died many years ago, says that his death almost destroyed her. She wanted to die, she said, but she kept waking up alive. Eventually, she began to be awake to her own pain. And then she found that, in her own words, gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. Gratitude turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. This power of gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Gratitude, she says, turns negative energy into positive energy. Every situation is susceptible to gratitude's power. My hope is that you, like her, can find this. That in tending to your own pain, you also notice the beauty around you. That you notice the beauty within you. That you are mindful of the gifts of your person and mindful of their continued presence with you in spirit. That you see the gifts of other people in your life. The gifts of your own courage, your own perseverance, the gift of the magnitude and depth of life, the beauty of birdsong, or the brilliance of the stars. That all of this mindfulness can begin to fill the emptiness that the grief has hollowed out. May you find some sustaining truth that grief never ends, but it does change. The 8 lessons and your grief becomes part of you, part of your story. When approached mindfully, it allows us to know the precariousness of life and therefore the preciousness of life. This awareness changes us. It can infuse our lives with an open-heartedness and awareness of the sacredness of all things. Our grieving grows to include an expansiveness. The truth that because life is so fragile, it is to be lived wholeheartedly. This wholehearted living doesn't take us away from our person, but keeps us connected in some profound way as we embrace all that their loss teaches us. And so, perhaps for now, it can be enough to simply marvel at the mystery of how a heart so broken can go on beating, as if it were made for precisely this, as if it knows the only cure for love is more of it, as if it sees the heart's sole remedy for breaking is to love still, as if it trusts that its own persistent pulse is the rhythm of a blessing we cannot begin to fathom, that will save us nonetheless. So let it be.
Michael D. Duggins, Sr., Mary E. White, Ronald E. Hardin, David Gibson, Bryant Marks, Dale Russell, Cynthia Wurst, James Matthew Cook, Daniel Ray Moffett, Brian Keith Wilson, Douglas Grace, Adrian Cole, Gary Reeser, Michael David Green, Jesse Donald Robinson, Helen Helton, Norma Jean Payne, Donald E. Wilding, Sue Taylor, Tia Walton, Wayne Grubbs, Dennis Murphy, Alma Lucille Milburn, Anthony Booth, H. Ray Pate Jr., Larry Frakes, Iva Dean Huffing, Michael McBride, James E. Bullard, Gary Beverly, Andrea Edwards, Lewis Washington.
Christine Perlin Gump, Denise Finley, Ann J. Swope, John Hines, Mary Frances Randolph Coit, Loretta Jean Lewis, Morel Dee Dee Jones, Bruce Edward Chaden, Laura Ann King, Roy Kilgore, Paul Bollinger, Eugene Ward, William Skinner, Gerald Gold, Amy Green, Leonard Mariani,
Charles Edward Mann, Roger Edward Tankersley, B. Keller, Mary M. Miles, George Leon Clay, Ellen Johnson, Richard Smithson, Larry Simpson Wilkerson, Nancy Kinslow, Jerry Kinslow, Waverly Jefferson, Scott Bryant, Margaret Burrington, Geneva Hubbard, Ronald Sawyer, Sarah F. Spalding, Patricia Lynn Akers, Anthony Craig Cox, David Pritchard, Robert L. Sawyer, Brenda Grover, Betty Link, Harold Thurman, Sandra Wesley, and our beloved colleague Bill Meredith.
Edward Beavers, Bessie Bernice Nelson, Paula Dumont, Diana York, Joan Carter, Larry Thomas Hedges, Terry Carter, Mary Abel Miles, Owen Scott, Ruth Rogers, Loretta Lush, Paulette Phelps, John H. Miles Jr., Jimmy Joe Gagliardi, Paul Steineman, Lisa Rentz, Edna Zaring, Bessie Bernice Nelson, Gilbert Calhoun, Louis Edward Wells, Mary Hassler, William J. Burden Jr., Charles Jordan, Roland Cunningham, Gerald Leeser, Sheila Chapman, John Tether, Elizabeth Hunley, Shirley Ricketts,
Earl William Sheeler Jr., Anthony Samuel Tricoli, Joe M. Phillips, Hilbert Buck Woods Jr., Joan Graves, Virginia Smith, Anna M. Connolly, Marilyn Joyce Kent Rutherford, Robert Osborne, Patty Bellinger, Steve Hilbert, Donald William Gaines Jr., Marcella Smith, Ronald Reed, Glenn Walters, William A. Land, Mary Edmonds Bigg, Alan Banta, Anna Connolly, Richard McKay Jr., Joan White, Doris Exley, Philip Baynard.
Nora Ree Meredith, James Horton Hoyt, Christine Parsley, James Bonnie Cook, Ronnie Wilson, Sandra Reed, Lovell Emberton, Inez Taylor.
Amber Murphy, Aura Coots, David Keisler, Robert Bob Wimsatt, Joanna Wyke, Andrew Cotrera.
Vaughn K. Timberlake, Kenneth Ritchie, Jeffrey D. Hodgson, Neitha Allen, Mary Zaviston, Amber Louise Murphy, Donald L. Smith, Ruth Grimm, Gary Green, Angel Gutierrez, and William Hack.
We honor these patients from our Central Kentucky office: Herbert C. Blair, Helen Wright, Willis W. Brown, Diana S. Blackson, Rex Nevitt, Helen Cave, Mark Dwayne Childress, Lorene Froge, Lyle Works, James Helton, India Jenkins, Timothy C. Johnson, Ronald Durrell, and employee Chaplain Philip Duncan.
Gerald Holt, Harold Alvord, Jerry Bagby, Joyce Russell, William Smith Mays Jr., Helen Mays, Merle Thornton, Joseph Mattingly, Don Whitehouse, Ernest Thompson.
Darnay Jerome Pearson, Kendall Ray Richens, Angel Brummett.
In the course of this responsive reading, we remember them. I recall my aunt who passed recently, whose name was Hattie. When we say remember them, think of your loved one whose name you would like to place at that point. In the rising of the sun and it is going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind, in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds, in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky, in the warmth of the summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves, and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year, and then when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we then remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we smile and remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us.
Remember me
goodbye, remember me. Don't let it make you cry. Even though I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me. Though I have to travel far, remember me. Each time you hear a sad guitar, know that I'm with you the only way that I can be. Until you're in my arms again, remember me.
Now we take a moment to acknowledge and honor those men and women who died in the line of duty. Our sons and daughters, husbands and wives, fathers, brothers, sisters, mothers, and friends who have sacrificed their life to protect our community, our country, and help maintain our safety. We honor their commitment, their dedication, and their courage. We cherish their spirit of service to something bigger than themselves. And we know that that which is given in service continues to ripple on through time, creating goodness in ways we will never fully see. And because honoring that gift is too humbling for words, we can only say in sincere gratitude, thank you.
We are grateful that you have made space within your heart to acknowledge and honor your grief today. Doing so is never easy, as it invites the deep pain to surface. And as we have seen, the paradox of healing is that the pain must be seen and honored in order to be transformed and expanded into something new. You are courageous. So may you go from this space celebrating your courage. May you go from this space with a sense of hope that you are strengthened enough for your journey ahead. May you go from this space with a sense of peace. Deep peace to you.